Sometimes I'm not in the mood to watch anything, and that's how I invented this little game called Tubi Roulette. And what I do is, I open up the Tubi menu and I go to horror movies, and then I just hold my finger down with my eyes shut, and then I release and I hit the button and I start the movie, and that's how I found tonight's little gem. Teenage Slumber Party Nightmare from 2014. I was hoping it would be like Slumber Party Massacre. It's not. This movie was directed by Richard Mogg, who I've never heard of until watching this movie. It turns out he has another movie called Massage Parlor of Death, which actually came out after this. And I checked it out. After I watched this, I watched that as I was going to bed, just to see, because it came out a year later, and it looks so much worse. And the basic premise of that is, I'm not going to give any spoilers. I'm going to try not to. I didn't even watch half, so there's only so much I can spoil it. I'm going to spoil the first half, though. The first half, all that happens is, people walk into the massage parlor one at a time. They start getting massages. Then the masseuse kills them in a variety of ways, usually involving like a knife. She has like this meat cleaver though, and she kills them like this. And all the while the guy's like, ah, 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 and there's like blood, and there's weird, it's chunky, weird blood. It looks like sweet and sour sauce, and it kind of looks like somebody just poured sweet and sour chicken on the guy's like neck. Like all the special effects were bought in like the hot food section of the local grocery store. It just made like, well, that kind of looks like something that would come out of your neck. And they didn't even bother to like try and light it different, like make it darker in the room or anything. It's just, I don't know, it's weird, it's terrible. In this movie, Teenage Slumber Party Nightmare is fucking weird. It starts with three girls, Jamie, Marlo, and Trish. They're sitting on the bench on the steps of their school talking, because these girls are supposed to be 15 and 16 years old, and they're clearly not. I mean, they don't look like they're in their 30s, but they don't look like they're 16 either. And they're talking because Jamie just got her license because she just turned 16, but her dad won't let her borrow the car, and her parents are going out of town, and it's spring break. It's like the Friday night. It's the Friday before spring break, so they're like, well, what? And I don't know what they were planning to do with the car anyway, because they were talking, and like Jamie's parents are going out of town, but since they're going out of town, she has to stay with her aunt, but her aunt is also out of town, so that makes no sense to me. It's like, what? And she's all bummed out about the car, and her friend Trish is like, well, in a month I'm going to turn 16 and I'm going to get my license and I can drive. But it's like, parents are out of town, you don't really need a car. It's not like it's spring break and you're planning to drive to the beach or drive to something. It's like they're out of town, your aunt's out of town, like you have your party, that's your party place right there. So, might have been smarter if your parents were like, here's the car, get away from the house. But they didn't. Casey shows up, and it seems like all four of these girls have a crush on the same guy. This guy he's an upperclassman. I don't think he's that much upper. I think he's like a junior, and they're like sophomores. And his name is Brad Paisley, which isn't there a country singer named Brad Paisley? I can swear, that sounds very familiar to me. I don't listen to country. But they all have a crush on him, and they're like all getting notes from him, like little stupid roses are red, violets are blue, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, they're not quite that bad, but they're pretty terrible. And Casey shows up, and she's like, well, I think he likes me. Like, these girls are not loyal to each other at all, because Jamie is like totally like in love with the guy, and the rest of them are like, well, I think he's cute. I think he's cute too. I kind of like him. None of them are like, well, since you actually like him, he's off limits. They're all just like, whatever. Whoever he picks, that's what he gets. So, what's her name? So they get done talking, and Casey's like, well, I'm gonna go see, I got this note, so I'm gonna go see if he's where he is. And they're like, it's probably not really even him. That doesn't even look like his handwriting. I bet you it's Court. And Court is another story, because it is Court. Because Casey goes to the stairs to meet him, and there's Court. He's this creepy dude who like walks up, and it's funny because if you look at Court, you're like, what the fuck? Is that the janitor? Because he's like gray hair, like he looks every bit of 40, and he's like, hey, I love you, I'll play a clip.
I watch you all the time. I love you all.
That's disgusting, Court. I don't like you. No one likes you.
I'm a great dancer. You should come with me to the dance, Casey.
Why would I go to the dance with you? You're not my type, okay?
I want to go all the way. I've got money, I've got a car, and I've got a driver's license.
I don't care. You're not even old enough to date me. Why would I go to the dance with you?
But we're the same age.
Exactly. You're just a little kid. You're so immature. You're a creepy little dork with no friends. Why would I go to the dance with you? I don't like you. Now crawl back down those stairs and leave me alone. Never talk to me again.
And then they get to the top, and he gets kind of mad. And I think he accidentally like dumps her over the stairs, and honestly, they're really not that high up. Like, that probably would have hurt her, but she like hits the ground, and she's like, you know, she's just dead. And that could kill you, but it wouldn't necessarily like instantly kill you. So I don't think it was that high. I mean, they were probably maybe like 15 feet. If that, it was like, they were like one level up. But anyway, she's dead, and he's like, oh, I better get out of here. Jamie's walking alone to her aunt's house, because she can't drive. And then Marlo jumps out and scares the shit out of her. And then they laugh, and then they walk together. And then they run into old Trish. Trish has a bag. She says it's her dad's alcohol. And no, he won't miss it. He'll think that he drank it. But it leads you to believe like it's a bottle of like a half-drinking bottle of whiskey or something. It doesn't actually show it, but they're carrying it. And they're like, well, why don't we go, let's go tanning. And they like go to the park and lay down. They're not even wearing like clothes you would wear to tan. They're just wearing their regular clothes, laying in the grass at a park. And then they just talk. Like for 10 minutes of the movie, they're just talking. There's no script. There can't be. There's probably like just bullet points where they're like, okay, just talk about Brad. Like, remember back at a time in your life when you had a crush on somebody when you were in high school? And then talk about, I don't even remember what they talked about, but they're just sitting there just like shooting the shit with no script for like 10 minutes. You're just watching it like, what are they doing? And they talk for like 10 minutes, and finally they're like, well, that was, and they're not like in swimsuits with this. It's weird. So they decide it's all right, let's go. That's enough sun for one day. And they start walking home, and then Court, he's been watching them the whole time because he's in love with all three of them. And he's in his car, and he follows them. And they get to this weird point where they're kind of, it's not really an alleyway, but like he's following them so closely. He's right by, he's going like, his car is rolling. It's going walking speed, and he's just, I mean, he's maybe 20 feet behind him, which 20 feet sounds like a lot, but for a car rolling after girls for 3 or 4 blocks, and for them to be like at one point they look right at him and they think nothing of it. They don't know it's him, and it's like, well, this white car has been rolling behind us ever since we left the park, and they don't think anything of it. And finally they get to the aunt's house, and the house, it kind of looks like a beach house. It's got like stairs that go up. It's like 3 levels, but it's like stairs that they're on the top level, and there's like a deck out front. They get all situated on the front porch. They turn on the barbecue. They got bowls of chips, and it turns out it wasn't like a half-drinking bottle of scotch or something that was in the bag. It was Pabst Blue Ribbon. And if you notice through the movie, like, they never seem to run out of it. And it's like, I don't know how they fit so many cans of Pabst in one bag, but they're just like, here. First, because they all start out with three beers in a bag. It's like, imagine like a shopping bag, like if you bring your own bag to the grocery store, like that size bag. How many cans of beer, how many loose cans of beer do you think, cans of anything, do you think you could fit in there? And they're just, oh, I'm ready for another beer. Okay, everybody else want one? So, okay, that's 6. You know, I mean, maybe 12 comfortably would fit in there, but they're just one after another. They don't run out. And it's not like they're like drinking fast and getting hammered, but at one point, like Jamie, it's like, I'm gonna go get a beer. Although I think she came out empty-handed, because then Trish goes in and goes, I'm gonna get beer. Does everybody else want one? So they're out there, because initially when Trish comes out with the beer, she says, everybody want beer? And she got all these packs of hot dogs, which is another weird thing. It's like 3 Costco-sized packages of hot dogs. It's like they got 36 hot dogs. I didn't see any buns, and they're like, we're gonna make some hot dogs. It's like, there's 3 of you. Why do you have so many hot dogs? And they start barbecuing it up, and then they continue to talk. Court's out there somewhere, still watching them. And they're eating, and they're talking about Brad. Like, should we invite Brad over? I don't know. And Marlo's just weird. She's like a female version of Jim Brewer. And everything she says, she's just weird. Then when she drinks, she gets weirder. Like, she doesn't actually do anything weird. She just, the way she talks is so weird. She's like I don't know. She's just like perma-fried. Because the other 2 girls are fairly normal. But for some reason, this particular spring break is super important to them, which I can understand if it's like senior year. It's like, this is our last spring break. This is the last time the girls are going to be together. But it's like sophomore year. Like, who gives a shit? They're like, oh, spring break. What a bummer. We don't have the car. Oh, well, we're going to do this, blah, blah. But finally, their hot dogs are done, and they start eating their hot dogs. They can't eat their hot dogs without making like dick joke after dick joke after dick joke, which makes it really apparent that like a dude definitely wrote this movie. So Jamie goes in to get another beer, and she finds a note, a little love note, which makes absolutely no sense, because the deck that they're partying on is the front deck on like the 3rd level. So for Court, first of all, Court couldn't have done it before they got there, because I'm just going to assume he doesn't know where her aunt lives. If it was her house, it'd be one thing, but it's not. So he couldn't have done it, and he couldn't have like snuck right past them and got it into the house. I don't think he scaled the back of the house and came in through a window. So how the note got in there, I don't know. But then they all go in, they go inside, they sit on the couch, and then they start talking again. The unscripted dialogue. They're just like, blah. It's like in real time. They're like, just talking about, oh, we should have Brad come over. What about Brad? And then Trish is giggling because she's like, well, I got a movie we could watch. You guys want to watch a movie? They're like, okay. Like Marlo is the one who's like down for whatever. Marlo just doesn't give a shit. She's like, okay, yeah, we can do that. We can do that. I'll have another beer. I'll have a hot dog. We'll watch a movie. What movie is it? And then Trish is like, well, it's a porno. It's called Galaxy Hookers. And Jamie's kind of the prude. She's kind of, so I don't want to watch. Oh, come on, can we watch that? And so they put it in and they're watching, and which is really weird. It's like, why would you sit around and watch porn with your friends? I'm not saying I've never done it, but it's like, why? It's like, why? Oh, let's do this. This won't be uncomfortable. I mean, at least when I did it, it was before internet porn, so it was harder to watch it by yourself. Yeah, if that makes any sense. But it's still like, it's like I don't understand strip clubs. It's like, why would you want to go out in public and get horny around a bunch of people you don't know and then go home? especially a strip club where it costs money. It's just like, hey, look at me, I'm horny. Well, see you later. So they watched the movie, and at one point before the movie, they all started dancing, which I thought was funny, because it was for no reason. They just turned on shitty music, and they're like, let's dance. And I was like, why are they doing that? And I think it is definitely probably like an homage. It's like a throwback to 80s, because there's a lot of 80s movies where the girls just like get into their lingerie. Anytime there's a sleepover, whether it's a horror movie or not, there's some kind of weird like, hey, it's pajama time. And they start dancing. It's like this weird lingerie montage, and then they'll go back to like talking. But in this case, they got done dancing and they went and started watching while they talked, and then they watched porn. It's a very weird porn. They showed like parts of it, and it's like it looked, well, it looked as crappy as the rest of this movie. Like, is B like the lowest? Like, is a B movie the lowest movie? Because this movie would be like a D movie. I mean, this movie is so bad. Finally, they get the nerve to call Brad. Well, actually, Marlo calls Brad, and the phone in this movie is weird because it looks like an old school phone, but it doesn't have a receiver. It doesn't have a thing that you hang it up onto. It's just laying on the floor. Well, first it's laying on a pinball machine, like on the top of that, and then it's on the floor. But somehow it hangs up, and they just start talking on it, and then they just set it down. It's like, doesn't it need, like, the hang up part on that kind of a phone is connected to the piece that just sits on the table. It's not, I don't know, I'll put a picture of it. It's strange. So Marlo calls Brad and invites him over. And so the girls are like, oh my God, he's coming over. They're all excited. Meanwhile, Court's still outside being weird and watching them. And he there's like a drill with no bit and a mask, and I don't know, because it's just laying there. Like, he kind of comes upon it, and I don't know if that was his shit or if he just found it. Like, was this his plan and he had it stashed there? But then again, how was it stashed there? How did he know where her aunt lived and that they'd be there until he followed them? But now all of a sudden his stuff is there. So I don't know. So they're inside, the doorbell rings, and we think, oh, is it going to be Court in his mask and his bitless drill, or is it going to be Brad? They open the door, and it's the pizza dude.
Yeah, I got some pizza for you. You paid by card, huh? I got 2 peppy cheese pizzas for you. You just gotta take them off my hands, huh?
Do we have any money for the tip?
We don't have any money.
No. What I'm trying to say is you already paid for them, huh?
They take the pizza inside, and they just go to town on it, basically. Meanwhile, outside, Court in his mask looks like the grandpa from Chainsaw Massacre. Looks like he's wearing a grandpa mask. And he doesn't even get to use the drill because they start fighting. And once again, he throws another person down off the stairs, and that guy hits the bottom and dies instantly. At least a little bit higher this time, so it's a little more believable. But that guy dies. And I don't know if Court got rid of the body or not, because the girls finished the pizza. It's really hard to tell in this movie how much time has passed. But there's the doorbell rings. They answer, and it's Brad. And Brad's like, hey, what's up? I got here as soon as I can. They're like, did you drive your car? It's like, no, I walked. Oh, I like walking too. And we're getting this really shitty dialogue. And he's like, did you get the pizza I sent? And they're like, oh, you sent that? Yeah, we got it. He's like, I also brought this joint over. He pulls out this joint. And look, the pizza's gone. Like, they ate it. And these girls had just eaten. Like, they were just eating hot dogs. They had popcorn with their porn. And the pizza comes, they're like, hey, pizza. And they just scarf it down. He's like, well, I guess I won't be. They don't even offer. They weren't even like, well, we have hot dogs. We didn't know that you ordered the pizza. It's kind of awkward. Actually, it should have been awkward, but it wasn't. They were just like, oops. Oh, well. But they do find out that it was not Brad who's been writing the notes. And we also find out that these girls suck at quarters because they play quarters. And even though they kind of like montage it, it's still pretty real time, and they play quarters forever. And finally, Brad, there was like one piece of pizza left. And it was weird because Brad like started eating it. And then when he was like, oh, it's time for me to get going, like there was still one piece of pizza left. And he's getting ready to go, and Jamie's like, well, she doesn't want him to leave. So she's like, well, you don't have to leave, you can stay. Here, I'll show you where you can sleep. And so she like takes him by the hand and leads him out of the room. And then it's not a screen dissolve, but it's kind of like shows, I don't know, time has passed. You know, like the lighting coming in doesn't change at all. Like it's as light outside the entire time. But Court comes in and like takes a seat on the couch. And it's kind of looking like he's there for a long time. But based on the lighting of coming through the window, like nothing changed. Like how long has he been sitting there? Because he looks like he's been sitting there for a while. And there's nobody, like everybody's sleeping. And so he gets up and he goes in the kitchen. Like, well, first he goes into the room where Trish is and he puts a pillow on her head and just starts drilling through the pillow into her face and kills her. And nobody hears it. There's like some screaming. There's the sound of a drill. There's no bit. But he kills her anyway. And then he like goes down to the kitchen area, and just then Brad's coming down. He's like in his underwear. He comes into the kitchen, and Court just comes up behind him. He's got his mask on. He comes up behind him and just like sticks the drill in the back of his head and just starts drilling. And like Brad does not resist at all. He's just like ah. And the the effects were just as bad as the massage parlor of death, where it just looked like they got some sweet and sour chicken and just like splattered it on his head, and it's like oozing down, and he dies. And we never, well, Marlo wakes up because Court like disappears. Marlo comes down and she's like hungry, and she opens the pizza box, and miraculously there's a slice of pizza in there. So she like takes a bite of it, and she's like, eh. And it's funny because she's wearing her regular, like the other girls changed into their pajamas, but she like has been wearing the same outfit since they were at school. She's like has not changed at all. And she goes outside, she turns on the barbecue because I guess she's gonna have hot dogs for breakfast. And she goes back in, and she finds a note on the fridge. It's a love note, but this one's got her name on it. And she's like, ah, and it basically tells her to go into Trish's room. So she goes in and she finds Trish's corpse, and she's like, ah. So she runs into Jamie's room, and that's where Court is. And Jamie's there, and I forget exactly how, but Court just like sticks the drill into her back and drills through, and you can actually see the tip, the magical tip comes out her chest, and he kills Jamie. I thought Jamie was gonna live. She was our final girl, sorta. But you know, she was the virgin. She was the main character. She was really threw you off. I thought, if anything, I mean, other than Casey, but I thought out of these three, you know, like Marlo would go first, then Trish, then Jamie. But no, Jamie and Trish are dead, and Marlo's still alive, the flaky Jim Brewer bitch. So she runs out of the room, kinda. She didn't really run out, she just kind of like walks. And he just kind of like gingerly goes after her and like grabs her, and she kind of wrestles around. He gets her to the ground, and he kind of gets on top. He's on top of her, he's got mount, and she just like punches him right in the dick, and he's like, oh, my power.
I want a date. I'm your type, Marlo. I love you. Have a driver's license, money, and a car. Will you come to the spring dance with me? I love you, Marlo. I want to go all the way with you.
Well, you can't!
Oh, my power!
And he falls over. So she makes a run, well, like a speed walk to the front porch, and he catches up to her. He walks after her. Not like in a scary Jason way, but like we have to make this last, and there's only like 5 feet between where you guys started and where the door to get out there is. So in order for the scene to work, you guys can't just literally run because you'll get outside too fast. So he catches up to her, he tries to grab her again, and they struggle for a little bit, and she like kind of takes him by the head and like spins him and like face plants him on the grill. And he's like, ah! So she picks him up off the grill and he drops. And he looks like he's dead. Which I don't know. I mean, that would suck. That would hurt to have your face like mushed against the hot barbecue for, I don't know, a few minutes. I don't know, for 5 seconds it would suck. But for 30 seconds it would suck. It wouldn't kill you though. And then he falls down. So she like grabs a knife and unzips his pants and just cuts his dick off. And then she throws another shrimp on the barbie. And then that's the end of the movie. The badass award goes to Marlo because she's the sole survivor and the newest member of the Dick Cutters Club because she hacked his piece off and threw it in the barbecue. What did we learn? Survival tips! Don't throw parties when your parents go out of town. Don't write love letters to more than one girl from the same group. Take a hint. Don't make a girl be mean.